There's several barriers to people being on board with climate science and the reality of climate change. And one is that on an individual level, I guess the feeling like if I'm causing that problem, that kind of is a threat to their social identity. We all like to think of ourselves as good people. And so that actually gives people an incentive to deny the problem in the first place. But unless you are part of the solution rather than the problem. I often give talks about climate communication and the psychology of climate change. And usually I talk about scientific research. For example, I'll talk about the research where when people who deny evidence are shown definitively that evidence is wrong, they either don't change their mind or they change their mind but say they didn't. So I'll often talk about that research, or I'll talk about research into how changing people's minds isn't the only pathway to behaviour change. You can also remove barriers to behaviour change, and then that can have them behave, for example, more environmentally friendly. And often then the behaviour change can lead to belief change. So it's not always belief change affecting behaviour. It can go in either direction. So I give talks and I'll share, graphs and research and results. But I found that sometimes when I talked about like those two dynamics, but happening in an anecdote with my dad, people would smile and nod and they would get it at this instinctive anecdotal level. They recognize people like that in their own lives, I guess. And my dad is somewhat of a amusing kind of figure. So when I tell the story about how me presenting the facts of climate change to my father didn't really make that much headway, but when I suggested that he get solar panels because of a generous rebate policy that the government had at the time, he did that. He made the behaviour change. He got the solar panels, and then later he changed his mind about climate change. And when I asked him what changed his mind, he said, "Oh, I've always thought this." So there was two things going on there. Firstly, that sometimes people will change their mind, but they're in denial about the fact that they were in denial, and so that's kind of funny. But also, I think what was really interesting was, why did he change his mind? And I couldn't find out explicitly from him because of the way he kind of rewrote his own history. But what I could do is try to deconstruct or try to kind of reverse engineer what happened. And I think what happened was his behavior change, behaving more environmentally friendly by getting solar panels, was what led to his belief change, rather than the other way around, which was what I was trying to do, change his beliefs in order to change his behavior. Just sharing that kind of amusing story helps, I guess, take my explanations of the abstract scientific research and make it a little bit more concrete.